Hello and welcome to Brewers Daily. I'm your host, Dave Gasper. Lots to get to here on a Tuesday show. We got another hitter highlight coming up, a potential change in the Brewers bullpen, and also leading spring training award getter already. We got a leader for it coming up. But we got to start with kind of the big news here. Brandon Woodruff, as he continues his ramp up, his build up here for the Brewers, expected to be the opening day starter, but Brandon Woodruff telling reporters today that that status is up in the air. Woodruff potentially could not be ready for opening day. There's no injury that he's dealing with. Just with the lat injury that he had last year to end the season, that ended it prematurely for him. Recovering from that kind of slowed his build-up, his throwing progression during the offseason. So he's coming to camp a little bit behind. Had a 25-pitch bullpen session on Monday. Came off that. He's feeling good. He says he's in a good spot. But this is about staying healthy over the course of the full season. So they're taking it careful. They're being cautious with Brandon Woodruff, which I get. Woodruff is a very important piece of this starting rotation, of this team. He is the leader of that group, and it's very important to have him because when he is out there on the field, on the mound, it is just incredible what this team is, how they perform when he's out there. When he first came back last July, the Brewers immediately went on an 11-game winning streak, and they went like 30-4 in the first 34 games after Woodruff was activated from the injured list. Coincidence? Probably not. But still, Woodruff, his goal is to remain healthy throughout the course of the entire season. So I can't really argue with that logic, because they do need him throughout the course of the whole season. You don't want him getting hurt later on in the season, breaking down. Playing it safe is doing the right thing for a guy like Woodruff. It certainly is fragile with his health. You want to be careful with him, so I get that. But also, he should be able to be ready. Now, he hasn't really thrown up any alarm bells. He's kind of thrown it up in the air. I think it's still possible that he pitches on opening day. And honestly, for me, even if Woodruff has to pitch, even if he can only pitch 4 innings on opening day, that's fine by me, okay? Just having him there, not having to put him on the IL to start the season, or just kind of having him sit there missing a couple of days. Woodruff should be your opening day starter. He deserves to be that opening day starter. I want him to get that, to get those flowers, the pomp and circumstance, being the guy that year. Last year we had to deal with Elvin Rodriguez starting the home opener, okay? That was rough. And I would just love to see the opener at American Family Field be your actual legit star pitcher. Have it be Brandon Woodruff. I would want him to be that guy, even if it's just 4 innings that he can go. Even if he's not fully built up to your 5, 6, 7, whatever innings, your 100 pitches. Even if he has to keep it a little bit shorter, 4 innings, 70, 75 pitches at most that he's built up to, whatever it is, I would just love to see him out there go that. Because for opening day, your bullpen is as fresh as it's going to be. So why not? So, but that's really kind of the news out of camp here. Woodruff, they're taking it carefully with him. They're taking it slowly, and they want him to be healthy throughout the course of the entire season. So that is going to be something to watch, something to monitor here as camp continues to go along, how his buildup is going. Says there's no injury. He's in a good spot. He's feeling good health-wise. So that is the important part here, but they're going to take it very, very slowly with his ramp up. It's not going to be the usual ramp up you see for Freddie Peralta or any of those other types of guys who have been healthy, who don't have that kind of injury history that he has had. So we're not going to see him as early on here in spring training, but in the early part of spring training, we are seeing some players who are putting themselves in the lead for the Brad Nelson Award. So just to be clear, the Brad Nelson Award is not an actual thing. It doesn't actually exist, but I have named it here. Okay, that's what we're going to be calling it for the spring training standout. The guy who just absolutely lights it up in spring training who comes out of nowhere. You're not expecting him to actually be good and be doing anything, but he's just going to come out of nowhere and just have an absolute heater of a run for 6 weeks here, perhaps putting himself into the opening day roster, perhaps not, but either way, having one hell of a camp. And right now we got an early leader for that. But also, if you remember, Brad Nelson. So this goes back a little bit. So just kind of for the naming of the award, in case you're wondering who in the world is Brad Nelson. Back in 2009, Brad Nelson had a spring training for the ages. I mean, it was just stupid numbers that this dude was putting up. So get to spring training 2009. Brad Nelson hits 354 with a 1052 OPS, 6 doubles, 4 homers, 19 RBIs in 33 Cactus League games. He was lighting it up. He was the best hitter in the Cactus League. I mean, you thought this dude was a hitting prodigy the way that he was going through those 6 weeks. And Brad Nelson ends up making the team. He ends up making the squad based on that performance. How could you not put him on the team based on what he was doing? Brad Nelson then proceeded to go 0 for 21 as soon as the regular season began. 0 for 21. He did not get a hit all season. They kept him on the roster. He played 19 games. He did not get a hit at all. Oh my God. It was just ridiculous how he went from being on top of the world, being the best hitter anyone had really seen, and then he could not buy a hit, ends up getting sent back down, and he is never heard from again at the major league level. He lasted like 6 weeks. He was sent down, after in mid-May 2009, just a few weeks later, and he was done. But his spring training was incredibly memorable. And we've seen a lot of these guys over the years. We've seen the G-Man Chois, the Vinny Capras, the Eric Haas's of the world as previous winners of what I'm dubbing now the Brad Nelson Award. And this year we got an early front runner, and that is Brandon Lockridge. Brandon Lockridge is not likely to make this team. It is a crowded outfield picture, but he is doing his darndest to try and make this decision difficult for the Brewers. Another home run on Monday. He's got 2 home runs already, just two games in for spring training for Brandon Lockridge, and it is quite the run here. He's not really known as a power guy. He's known as a speed guy. Center fielder. He's 29 years old this season, and hasn't really had a ton of track record at the major league level, but a couple early home runs, putting himself on the radar. One of them was a massive blast. The one on Monday here, not quite as big, but still a home run. It's an early front runner here, Brandon Lockridge, to be your Brad Nelson Award winner in 2026. I don't know if it's going to earn him a roster spot. Again, that outfield picture is crowded, but Lockridge, keep an eye on what he ends up doing here, because he could go in an all-time heater. Maybe he could get himself onto the roster, maybe not. But if he keeps this up, oh boy, he certainly is going to be that Brad Nelson Award winner. So if you remember, Brad Nelson, if you remember that 2009 spring training and what he was supposed to be, how he was going to help out this team, you're definitely over the age of 30. All right, and if you're over the age of 30, then you have definitely started losing testosterone as well. That's when it happens. Maybe you're not feeling quite as energized, wearing down a little bit easier after a long day of work, whatever it is. But you don't got to worry about that, because there's Mars Men. Mars Men unlocks usable testosterone for your body. You don't need any synthetics, no needles, nothing like that. It's just real ingredients going to help you optimize your energy, your focus, your strength, because we want to be feeling stronger. And it supports those healthy T levels that you need as you're getting older here, as we all are. Time just keeps on going on, and it goes way, way too fast. But Mars Men is going to be here to help you with that, and they got a 90-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk. Worst case, you don't absolutely love it, you get your money back, but 91% of users report higher energy levels. So thousands of guys are feeling incredible results from this, so I highly recommend it. For a limited time, our listeners get a 50% off for life plus free shipping and three free gifts at mengotomars.com. It's a perfect way to kick off the new year strong. That's mengotomars.com for 50% off and 3 free gifts at checkout. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them Brewers Daily sent you. So, 3 free gifts. I mean, that most places, maybe only give you 1, but 3 free gifts there at mengotomars.com. All right, so now I want to get to our hitter highlight here on the show today, and it's going to be Joey Ortiz. So I got the idea for using Joey Ortiz because just watching him during the game on Monday, Joey Ortiz had a couple of hits, including a 109-mile-an-hour line drive back up the middle for a single, and he also had a web gem over there at shortstop. Incredible diving play, going towards third base, going towards left field, dive and stop, gets to his feet, makes a throw to Andrew Vaughn. Great defense from Joey Ortiz. But as a hitter, Joey Ortiz has been frustrating, to say the least. I think that's a good word for it. Last season, Ortiz really struggled, especially in clutch situations, especially with the bases loaded. Joey Ortiz had 30 at-bats last year with the bases loaded. An absurd amount, a stupid amount of at-bats with the bases loaded. And he had 5 hits in those 30 at-bats. If you're doing the math at home, that is a 167 batting average. That is not good. That is very bad. With bases loaded, nobody out. Ortiz was 0 for 5. Just ridiculous. He ends up, get a little bit hot towards the end of the season. That's a relative term. But he ends up hitting 230 on the year with a 276 on base, an OPS of 593. So it kind of salvaged it a little bit. Still couldn't quite get to 600 OPS on the season. 7 home runs, 14 stolen bases. Joey Ortiz definitely had a down year at the plate. The reason he was able to keep his job and has kept his job so far is because of that defense at shortstop. It is elite. 98th percentile and outs above average at shortstop. So he was really, really good. Pat Murphy has been pretty consistent all season long, or all off season long, that Joey Ortiz is going to be much better offensively this year. I'd like to believe him. I'm inclined to believe him because, Pat Murphy really, I don't think, has steered us wrong yet on any of these guys that he's talked about, but Ortiz had a really strong first half in 2024 when he first came over to the Brewers. Then he struggled for a little bit, was dealing with a neck issue that sat him down for a couple of days. He was trying to play through it, was changing some things, and then it became too much of a problem. So, he tried to, sit down for a little bit, rest up the neck issue, and then come back. And he really wasn't the same player after that. So perhaps that was part of things. And last year he's got the position change and just struggled offensively out of the gate and never really was able to get some traction and get going until later on in the season. So I think it's going to be better this year for Ortiz. I'm not sure exactly how much better, but also even if it's a little bit better, even if he's back to what he was in 2024, which was hitting 240, so, like 239, 240, so about only 10 batting average points higher. On base percentage around 330. That a little bit of pop. He's got some more pop in there than the 7 homers he showed. That's going to be closer to a 700 something OPS, which is a lot more tolerable when you're getting that elite of defense over at shortstop. So I think there is certainly more in the tank here for Joey Ortiz offensively. I think he can have a really strong season. That being said, I also wouldn't be surprised if he struggled. Last year, second percentile sweet spot percentage, 3rd percentile expected slugging, 3rd percentile average exit velo. Doesn't really hit the ball super hard all the time. Doesn't strike out much, which is good. Everyone makes jokes about Joey Ortiz striking out with the bases loaded. It's not that he strikes out with the bases loaded. It's that he just hits weak contact with the bases loaded. Weak ground balls, infield pop-ups, things like that. That's mostly what it is. 90th percentile in whiff rate. He doesn't strike out a ton. He'll make contact. It's not going to be great contact, but it'll be contact. So you would think with being able to make enough contact, eventually you're going to see something fall through. That's why I was very excited to see the 109-mile-an-hour liner up the middle on Monday's game here. So if he can do more of that, if he can make the adjustments and the tweaks that the Brewers have been working with him on, I think we're going to be able to see some better results from him. I think we're going to see something, above a 600 OPS from him this season. I think that very much is doable, and I think we could even be around the 700 OPS for Joey Ortiz, which it's not superstar quality, but for what he brings defensively at shortstop, you will absolutely take that. Especially considering you had to deal with it for a 593 OPS last year. And most of the season, it was well below 593. So I think it's going to be a slightly better season for Joey Ortiz offensively this year. I don't think it's going to be loads better, but I think it will be better than last year. Really, only way to go is up based on his season from last year. So that's our hitter highlight, Joey Ortiz. And finally here, I want to talk about this. There could be a makeup shakeup in the Brewers bullpen this season. So kind of talking to, seeing some reports talking to Trevor Megill, Abner Uribe. Trevor Megill is not necessarily guaranteed the closer spot once again in the Brewers bullpen. So came into it last year. He really kind of seemed like he was the incumbent closer. He filled in for Devin Williams when he missed a couple of months with a back issue. Then Devin Williams comes back, takes over the job again, but then the Brewers trade Devin Williams. It came in, that was basically Trevor Megill's, it ended up being Trevor Megill's job last year. And now this year, with Megill having dealt with the forearm issue at the end of the season, Abner Uribe kind of took over towards the end. When Megill came back for the postseason, he wasn't used as the closer, really. Those jobs went to Abner Uribe. So potentially, it could be Abner Uribe as the closer this year, and Megill moves back into a setup role. That very, very, very much is possible. Also could be a committee type thing Pat Murphy has talked about, or they could go back and forth, use it based on matchups, things like that. I mean, both of those guys throw 100 miles an hour from the right side, but still, they could change it up, that way, go around just with a committee, not necessarily sticking with one specific closer, or at least that could be the plan for now. I think ultimately, as we've seen this kind of time and time again, not just with the Brewers, but around Major League Baseball, when you have that kind of closer by committee, you're not sure who it's going to be. There is always someone that steps forward and just ends up taking the job. Because as much as you can enjoy having multiple options to go there, that's great. There is one guy who is going to be the primary earner of those jobs. Whether it ends up being Megill, whether it ends up being Uribe, time will only tell. But I think this committee thing, that's only a short-term proposition. Because ultimately, as you go throughout the season, someone's going to struggle or someone's going to step up, and they will just simply earn those opportunities, and they will earn every single closing spot that comes forward. So I'm not too worried about it. I think Megill stands a really good shot of earning some of those save opportunities, but the Brewers do really like Abner Uribe and what he's been able to bring. So I wouldn't be surprised if they made that change there as well. But again, it's all going to be about results and what you end up doing on the field. So this could go into April and May as they try and decide what they're going to end up doing. But it could be that kind of a change. It may not be guaranteed that Trevor Megill is your closer again into 2026. But what is guaranteed is that you can follow and subscribe to Brewers Daily. Get notified every single time a new episode drops, because we'll be here posting Brewers content every single day. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at dgasper24. And appreciate you watching, appreciate you enjoying, and we'll see you again next time for another episode of Brewers Daily.